Hi, welcome to my channel. It's Cherie with Cherie by Sea, and today I'm going to tell you all the things that I absolutely loved about MSC after sailing with them for the first time, and all the things that unfortunately I hated. Let's get into it. First of all, the reason that I took this particular cruise is because my son convinced me to, my 13-year-old. And I'm really new to the cruising world. I've really been excited about trying new cruises, but MSC was not on the list. In fact, everything that I've heard about them has been pretty terrible. I mean, some of the bloggers that I've watched have referred to them as like the most shitty cruise line, the world's most mediocre cruise line. I've heard that the food is terrible, the service is terrible, and the entertainment is terrible, and on and on and on. So I wasn't really excited about it. But this ship, the Seascape, is a pretty new ship. I think it was completed in 2022. And the itinerary looked great. And the dates lined up with when we could go. So, you know, I gave it a shot. I convinced my adult daughter to go with us. And I gotta say that the price was really compelling. So this leads us into the number one thing that I liked about MSC was the price. I mean, we got balcony rooms. We had 2 staterooms, and I paid around $800 a person for our balcony stateroom. And for her, since I was paying, I just got like the cheapest option available, which was like a guaranteed inside cabin, which was like $400. Now this is a 7-night cruise, guys. And so that's what I booked, and she was upgraded to a balcony room just a few doors down from my room. It was great. So I got 2 balcony rooms, and I really didn't have to pay for it. And the rooms were great. That's another thing that I loved about the room. The bed was really, really comfortable. Our sofa made into a bunk bed, which we kind of found out by accident. Pro tip, if you want to make up your bunk beds, make sure you get a room attendant to do it, because after a particularly late night in the club and Mama had had a little bit too much to drink, I asked my daughter to stay over in the room with us, and they went to pull the couch out. Like, we just assumed that it was a pull-out or had a trundle or something, and no, it popped up and made bunk beds. So my son slept on the top bunk and she slept on the bottom. And when the room steward came by the next day, he was like, "Oh, how many people are sleeping in your room? Because we cannot be held responsible if something happens with the bunk bed. It was not secure." So I was like, "Oh, okay." He just said, "Next time, you know, let us know if you want it up and we'll set it up and secure it for you." But nobody was harmed. The bunk bed did not fall, and all was well. What else did I really, really like? The coffee. The coffee, it's an Italian, so MSC is an Italian cruise line. And, you know, Italians are known for their great coffee, and they didn't disappoint. Even in the buffet, even like the little drip coffee that was in the urns was fantastic. It was fantastic coffee. And the chocolate shop, so we would have our morning coffee there several mornings after we discovered it. We didn't discover this until like day 3, I think. And then, you know, it was on after that, because the Vinci, I think that's how you say it, Vinci chocolate shop had fantastic specialty coffees. They were absolutely delicious. So that's number 2 thing that I like. And you could get coffee. I saw people getting coffee from the bars. So you could get coffee pretty much anywhere on this ship, okay? So there's the first couple of things that I liked. What else did I like? The pools. The pools, you know, compared to Royal Caribbean, which I've been on, Harmony of the Seas, and what's the other one? Harmony of the Seas, and I don't know. It was one of the smaller ships. I've been on one of the smaller ships. I'll like put a caption on here to tell you which other ship I've been on, because I can't think of it right now. I've got like old lady brain. The the pools were really a good size, and the jungle pool was deeper than cruise ship pools usually are. Then there was the, the Lido pool, and I never gotten that. I'm not a big fan of being in the pool on the Lido deck where all the people are. I do like to hang out there sometimes, but not necessarily get in the pool because it's usually jam-packed. But the adult section on the ship also had 2 infinity pools. They were gorgeous, and sometimes they were a little packed, but not too packed. We always found a space to get in there, me and my daughter, and we spent a lot of time on that deck. And so I really loved the pools on the whole ship and the water slides. The water slides were fantastic. Even Mama was on Mama was not scared to get on the water slides, and I had a great time on that. There were 3 on the ship, so that's another thing that I really loved about the Seascape. And number 4, things that I really loved, the hibachi grill. The hibachi grill was fantastic. It was a really great show in there. That's one of the specialty restaurants. And the food was amazing. I was stuffed. There was no way you could eat all that food. So it was worth the extra money that we paid for that. And I would definitely go back and eat there again. And I would recommend it. If you ate at, I only ate at 3. I ate at 4 specialty. Oh, I did good. I ate at 4 specialty restaurants on this ship. So that was by far my favorite. And I felt like a good value for the money, because you get a show and a meal and, the camaraderie of the people at the table with you. It's interactive. You know how hibachi is. It was a great time. Next, let me go ahead and talk about some more of the food that I did like, right, before I get to my dislikes. Like the pizza. The pizza was fantastic. That's one of the good things that I've heard other vloggers say and heard on TikTok, that MSC has like the best pizza of all the cruise lines. Now, I can't vouch for that because I've only been on one other cruise line, but it was delicious. Royal Caribbean's pizza was meh at best, but this pizza was fabulous, and you would expect it to be since it's an Italian cruise ship, right? So it didn't disappoint. And the breads and the pastries, very good, very good. MSC's bread, all of it, the croissants, even the rolls and breads that they give you in the main dining room were all fabulous. And they had real eggs on the buffet. So that's another good thing about the food. And they did have like a little place that we tried, the Hola Tacos place. Just because we had missed our main dining time, we didn't have reservations, and we strolled by, and they were closing in like 2 or 3 minutes, and they sat us anyways. And you could order a la carte, like these little kind of like street tacos. And they, so we got some, like a variety. We probably got 4 or 5 different kinds of the tacos and some beer, and that was fabulous and cheap. It wasn't like specialty restaurant pricing. It was the only place that I saw on the ship that wasn't free, that was really inexpensive to eat, where you could just grab something. Next, what am I on? Like number 5? I'm on a roll. There's a lot of good things about MSC's ship. Number 5, the private island, Ocean Key, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was very relaxing. It's nothing but just beaches. There's a few little shopping places. I did get a couple of souvenirs from there and some flip-flops for my son because he didn't bring flip-flops and the ground was really, really hot. He brought tennis shoes. Kid, but I digress. We got him some flip-flops. Like I said, every place on that island was beautiful. And there were several different beaches that you could go to, right? So everybody's not crammed into 1 or 2 spots. You had several places that you could choose from, and they did have a tram because it's a pretty good walk to go all the way, around the island and all the different beaches. So they did have tram stops, and you could catch the tram so you didn't have to walk as far. I loved that they had the buffet on the island. It was easy and convenient. There was lots of shade outside for you to sit at the tables and sit in the shade and have your free meal. There were other little like food shacks scattered throughout, but everyone that I passed and looked at kind of had the same basic stuff. It was like hamburgers, hot dogs. You know, it looked really basic, and that's not what I wanted. I'd been out in the sun. I wanted some fresh fruit and, you know, just some different options. So the buffet was great for me. And the little food shacks are all included too. Now the alcohol is not included, but the food shacks and the buffet on the island are included in the price of your ticket, which is another thing I loved. What number are we on? Maybe 6? How did I not say this one first? The ship was beautiful. All of the spaces were absolutely stunning. So for the price that you pay to get on the ship, because based on the price, it's like a value cruise line, right? But when you get on the ship, you feel like, oh, wow, I'm fancy. You know, I can't say this word, but the staircases are made out of, is it Swarovski crystals? Those staircases are stunning. There were little photo ops scattered along the ship. One place where it was like a hot air balloon with a moving scenic screen behind it, little bicycles. The infinity, it wasn't called the infinity deck. What do you call that walk? The little walkway that kind of goes over the ocean. I'll put a caption here and probably a little video clip of that too, because that was beautiful. All the spaces, all of the lounges, all of the restaurants were magnificent. All of the seating was very plush. I'd heard someone say that the seating on the ships were weird and uncomfortable. I found that to be opposite of the truth. I thought that everything was very plush and cozy, and you could find lots of kind of out of the way spaces to sit and look at the water. Like even in the cabaret lounge, which was huge, that kind of turned into the late night club. We went to a party in there once and it was fabulous. But that place during the day is kind of deserted, and there's all of this seating all around where you can see outside of the ship. There's like little couches and cubby holes where you could lounge if you wanted to go chill out in there. If you were sharing the room with a bunch of people and you really couldn't escape to your cabin, you could go in there with a book and some coffee and just chill out all by yourself. I thought that it was great. Every space in there was something beautiful to look at. And I'll save the best for last. I don't know, what is this, like 7? I think we're at 7 or so. I think my favorite thing on the ship was the thermal suites in the spa. You know, I didn't have any other spa services, but before I boarded, I booked a special where you could pay $125 for the thermal suite pass. And that was good for every day of your cruise. And it was amazing. They had a big locker room with towels. And then inside the thermal suites, there were several different saunas, you know, steam saunas, dry saunas. There was a snow room. I did not get a lot of video footage of the sauna because, I mean, I basically got like the locker room and me doing my favorite little circuit in there, which I'm about to tell you about. But I just felt weird taking the camera and filming in the sauna. So I didn't get a lot of video, but I did video my favorite part of the thermal suites, which was this shower circuit, which at first my daughter was like, there's no way I'm gonna do that. Because it's like, it goes from cold to hot. So you start out, you stand under this shower that's a pretty strong stream of water, and it is ice cold. But it only lasts for about, if I had to guess, I'd say like 7 to 10 seconds. And then you go to the next one, and it's like this cool mist. So where the first one took your breath and you can't breathe, the second one is like, oh, you can catch your breath for a second. And then you go to the third one, and it's like buckets of cold water being dumped onto you. It just takes your breath again. And then the very last circuit is a hot, steamy shower, and you just feel your body relax, and it was so energizing. We did it like 4 or 5 times each, but it was so fun. And they had a salt room, and they had an indoor big hot tub that was big enough for several people with really powerful jets. Then they had a private little outdoor area with its own hot tub. So those were all of the things that I loved about MSC. And now, regrettably, we're gonna get into the things that I did not love. And then at the end, I'll tell you, would I ever do it again? Stick around and find out. So the first thing that I didn't like, we're gonna start with the food. Some of the things I heard that were negative that were true were that the food at the buffet was mostly like lukewarm. Nothing was hot. The pizza was hot, thankfully. But most of like the main dishes, nothing that we had was hot. So that wasn't good. I did think they had a lot of variety, and the food did not taste bad, but it wasn't hot, and that's not good in my opinion. I did not like that. The other food thing that I did not like, well, first of all, you know, with Royal Caribbean, the main dining room food is always like hit or miss. Some things were really good, and some things were yuck. And I felt the exact same way about MSC. Maybe that's just cruising in general. Maybe that's just main dining rooms and cruise ships across the board. I don't know. I want to find out. My goal is to try like all the major cruise lines that sail out of the U.S. It was very hit or miss. So I found something that I liked, and then I just stuck to that. Things that were not good to me, the French onion soup, yuck. The lobster bisque, yuck. Really nothing that I ordered in there. Food, the pastas. My son got a different kind of pasta like every night. I didn't like any of the pastas that he ordered, which is weird, right? Because it's an Italian cruise line. The flavors just weren't that great to me. And also, I'm from the South. I have really, really good food here. It's seasoned well, you know. Everything is very flavorful. So I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed with the food in the MDR. But what was good was the steak in the MDR, the grandma's chocolate cake, the steak, the New York strip, and you know, in particular, I had that several times because I knew it was good. It was even better than the steak I had in the Butcher's Cut, the specialty restaurant. The Butcher's Cut steak was a better cut of meat. I thought that meal was overpriced. Now, I know everybody else that I've seen that has reviewed that restaurant said that it was excellent. Okay, this is just my opinion. For the amount of money that I spent in there, it was not good. The steak did not have any flavor. The main dining room included New York strip, not as good of a cut of meat. Much better flavor. I loved that steak, but the one in the Butcher's Cut was meh. Now, I had a chocolate lava cake in there, which they don't offer in the main dining room, and that was delicious. But just for comparison, I ordered the same things that I had been getting in the main dining room in the Butcher's Cut to see if it would be that much better. Because I was curious. I was like, well, this is free over here, and I'm paying, you know, $1 bajillion for this in the Butcher's Cut. I want to see, is it worth the upgrade and charge? And so I ordered the shrimp cocktail in the Butcher's Cut restaurant. It was exactly the same, except it was worse because they had sliced little fresh jalapenos on top of each shrimp, and it burned my mouth. But other than that, it was just shrimp cocktail. It just cost a lot more. Oh no, I'm not done. I'm not done with the food. So we did get talked into the special at the sushi place, and it was called Kaito Sushi. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That and the teppanyaki place had the same name. It was like Kaito, teppanyaki, Kaito Sushi. So the sushi bar was super cute. You know, we would always walk past it to go to the adult area or to go to the karaoke lounge. And it just looked so cute. So we did buy the special where we could have all you could eat for lunch for like $39.99, which is still a little pricey. And I'm not a big sushi eater, but it was really cute and totally not worth the $40 a piece. there was like no variety. It was the same 4 or 5 things just going around on the conveyor belt over and over and over. There was no variety. And even when I do eat sushi, when we go out for sushi here, look, I'm not a sushi connoisseur, so maybe I'm just, I don't know anything. Maybe this was better sushi and I just don't know anything about sushi, but it was just like a little slice of raw tuna or raw salmon on a little bitty round circle of rice. Everything was on a little bitty round circle of rice. It wasn't even like sushi. It was just a little something on top of a little round circle of rice. It was not worth it at all. No, it was not. Don't spend a lot of money there. Like if you get it for free somehow, I don't know. It wasn't good. What else? What else did I not like? Okay. So they had how they do the game shows with the audience participation on cruise ships, and they're so much fun. They had those on this ship, and the ones that I saw like at the main, on the Lido deck, at the main pool, you couldn't see anything unless you were right there where it was done. And they had the big screen, up there at the top. They weren't utilizing it. So you could not see what was going on in the game show unless you ran up there and crowded around all the people that were standing in a semicircle in the very front. The way that their pool is set up, all of their pools too, this is going to be 2-in-1 that I don't like. So I didn't like that you couldn't see anything that was going on in the Lido deck area. On the other cruise line that I've been on, all around the main pool and the other pools, there were always places that you could lay or sit that were in the shade, that were covered. There was nowhere covered with shade around this pool anywhere. Now the jungle pool was like kind of an enclosed area because they had a retractable roof, so if it rained, you could still go in there and swim. But it had that indoor pool area kind of feeling. You just weren't out in the sun anywhere. The main pool deck, you're like, everything is just in the bald open sun, which is another thing I didn't like. Same in the adults area. As much as I loved the adults area, the only place that had any amount of shade in the adults area was in the smoking section. They had these big, like, comfy outdoor chairs lined up for the smokers, and the back row of those were under a covering. But none of the other area for people to sit had any shade. Even they had outdoor seating at like the main dining room. None of that was in the shade. And it was scorching hot. Like there was no way you could go to the main dining room and take your food outside and sit out there. So nobody was ever out there. I did see a couple of people trying to brave it out and they looked miserable. And then one group pulled their table like almost into the doorway because there was some shade coming off of somewhere. They were in the way. They were blocking the flow of traffic, but they weren't going to eat in the bald open sun. So that was something that I did not like. And another thing that I did not like, I did not like the entertainment on this ship. Now, the staff and crew talent show was very entertaining to me. I loved that because I loved, they each got to tell a little bit about themselves and, talk about their talent, talk about their life a little bit, kind of at the end of their performance. And I like that because I like hearing people's stories. I like telling stories. I like hearing other people's stories. So that was entertaining. But the actual shows that I went to in there were, they were interesting. I don't even know how to say, like, what was so bad about the... First of all, I'm comparing these shows to Royal Caribbean shows, which are like Broadway caliber shows. Like, I'll make another video on the last cruise I did with Harmony of the Seas. The entertainment was phenomenal. I felt like I should have paid extra to go see the shows on that ship. These shows were like the same cast. It was the same small cast doing the shows. And there was no storyline to the shows. It was just like singing and dancing to different songs. And it felt weird. Like everyone was just sitting there watching. Like there was no participation. There were a couple of times when the performers tried to get the audience to like clap or kind of participate, but no one would be participating. And I would start clapping and get excited. I was like, oh yeah, we're going to be doing something here. And then, 10, 20 seconds later, I'm the only one clapping and like nobody's involved. And it's just weird that we're just sitting there quietly, just watching these people sing and dance with no point. I don't know. They even, like in the description, there was going to be like acrobatics and stuff. I'll post a clip in here somewhere of what was happening. And it may look better in the clip than it actually was being there. The entertainment was a big fat no for me. A big fat no. Some of the singers were phenomenal. There were a couple of them that I really enjoyed watching and listening to. And then there were some that were like, I don't know. I don't like to talk bad about anybody doing anything in the arts, because everyone has different tastes, and I think it takes a lot of guts to put yourself out there like that in front of people. And they were all excellent. Let me just say, all of the performers were excellent, but I didn't get the shows and I didn't like them, and I wouldn't go sit through them again. So that was a thing I really didn't like about MSC. Am I leaving anything out? Because I feel like that was just really harsh. I feel like I just got a little bit carried away, but I'm just telling you. I mean, I would want to know what people like and what they don't like. I watched a lot of these videos before I ever went on this cruise, and it was helpful to me, which will lead me into wrapping it up. Oh, and let me see if I left anything out. I kind of took some bullet points down here. Oh, there was a couple of little things. The private island, as beautiful as it was, you had to rent an umbrella and say, like I said, it was a big island and there was a lot of ground to cover. And even though there were trams, you had to go like walk to a tram station to catch the tram and tell them what beach you wanted to go to or if you wanted to go back to the ship. So right when you get off the ship, one of the first things that you come to after the little shopping area was a place where you could rent snorkel gear and rent umbrellas. And big, gaudy umbrellas that you would have to carry around, all this way. I didn't like that they were $26 to rent an umbrella. So we didn't rent one there. I figured we could find some shade somewhere. We get down to the beach. This particular day, there wasn't a lot of shade to be had on the beach that we were going to, but they had umbrellas set up, just not opened up, along all of these chairs. So we were like, hey, we didn't even have to rent an umbrella. We'll just go use one of these. We go and start opening it, and lo and behold, some lady walks up to us and says we have to pay. So we had to pay to use that umbrella. Well, what if we didn't want to stay in that spot? What if we wanted to go to another beach? I didn't like that. I didn't like that you had to pay $26 a piece to get any kind of shade on this island. That's just me. Maybe that's a normal thing at these cruise ships, private islands. I don't know. I've never been to another one. But I didn't like that I had to pay $26 a person just to get a little shade. And the last thing, the service. I want to address this. I don't want to put a whole lot of emphasis on it because it wasn't terrible service. In fact, most of the service that I had was great. I met some really great staff. Shout out to Wanda. I met some really great staff on the ship. But one thing I did notice is that the bar staff, they work a lot slower than they did on the other cruise line. I just felt like I never really had to wait a long time, even at the pool bars. I mean, sure, there would be a lot of people, and so you would have to wait a little bit of time when it was really busy and really crowded and there was a lot going on. But on MSC, on the Seascape, because that's the only ship that I've cruised on, every place I went, even if there were just a few people there, it seemed like the bartenders in particular moved very, very slowly. Except for Wanda. That's why we left him. So I would suggest to find a bartender that you like early on, like day one, and tip them. And keep going back to them. Find you a bar that's not really busy. There's a bar right outside of the hibachi restaurant that's never really crowded. The only time people are there is like when they're like if they have reservations right when it's time for those little restaurants over there to open, like the teppanyaki place, and I think Butcher's Cut is over there too. So the people that have the first reservations will kind of be hanging out, and they may stop at the bar to get a drink, but otherwise that bar is never really busy. Also, the karaoke lounge, when there's not karaoke or dance class going on in there, it's pretty vacant. So go in there or find you a bartender that you really like. First day, tip them out good. Just keep going back to them. Maybe they'll catch your eye and they'll come serve you and be a little quicker, because the bar service was fairly slow. But that's it, guys. I mean, that's really my take on my very first MSC cruise. Will it be my last? I'm not going to rush to go on an MSC cruise. I want to try Carnival and NCL and Virgin and, and Princess, Norwegian Cruise Line. Did I say that one? NCL. I want to try that. So there's a lot that I would want to do before it. But like I said, those prices. And now I know what to expect. I know what the culture of the ship is, that there were probably only like 30 to 40% Americans on that ship. So there were people speaking all different languages, which I really enjoyed. The captain was Italian, so all the announcements were only in 2 languages. I've heard other people say that they'd have to listen to like 5 or 6 different languages. It wasn't so on our ship. It was just Italian and English, and the captain was hilarious. He always said, bye-bye, at the end of every announcement. It was the cutest thing. He always had some like corny dad jokes to throw in there. But I loved the mix of people and the mix of music. There was kind of some music that I wasn't familiar with, that wasn't really my thing. But then there was some music that we really jive to in the States. We did the wobble, and I really like doing the wobble. Maybe that dates me too, I don't know. But I would go back. I would cruise with them again because I know what to expect. And if the itinerary and the price was good enough, absolutely. It was beautiful. It was a cruise ship, There was good food to be had, there was good drinks to be had, and there was good times to be had. And I would definitely do another one, but I would know what to expect. So, there would be no disappointment. And I think if you just know going into it, like if the only cruise lines you've ever done are American Cruise Lines, or you've only done Royal like me, know what to expect when you're going, and then you won't be disappointed. You'll be like me, and you'll be like shocked and amazed at all the great things that were happening. So all in all, yes, I would cruise with MSC again, but it wouldn't be my first choice. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm new to this. I'm very excited to be getting into the YouTube space, because God knows I watch enough YouTube. Like, I use YouTube and TikTok like I use Google, and I think a lot of people do. So if you liked anything that I had to say, or if it was helpful, or if you're curious to know what I'm going to share next, like a full cost breakdown of my MSC cruise versus my Royal Caribbean cruise, I'll compare the two and talk about the last cruise that I took on Harmony of the Seas. Subscribe, like, comment. Comment to me the things that you liked and disliked about MSC. What cruise line should I try next? Tell me that, because I'm leaning towards like Virgin or NCL, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. Okay, thanks for hanging with me. Bye.